Hello, welcome to this session of Talking Tech, Women and Growth in ICT. My name is Renee Jiang. I am delighted to be representing the ITU today and to have a discussion about tech and tech careers with Virginia Tan, founder and CEO of Teja Ventures and the founder of Sheilas Tech. Talking Tech is a year-long project in support of the International Growth in ICT Day. Growth in ICT Day is an international day marked on the fourth Thursday of each April, aiming to empower and encourage girls and young women to consider studies and careers in the growing field of information and communication technologies. The next Growth in ICT Day will be April 22nd, 2021. The Talking Tech series is brought to you by the ITU, UNICC, and the Office of the UN Secretary General's Envoy on Youth, and is in support of Equals, the global partnership for gender equality in the digital age. And now let's get started. It is my honor to introduce to you today our guest, Virginia Tan. Virginia is the founding partner of Teja Ventures, the first gender lens VC fund for emerging Asia. She is the founder of Sheilas Tech, the world's largest startup competition for women in technology. She is also the co-founder and former president of Lean in China, a nonprofit that supports growth and aspirations of Chinese women. What a stellar background, Virginia. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'd like to start asking you about Teja. What exactly is a gender lens VC fund?
So Teja Ventures is a venture capital fund. We invest in technology companies for the She economy in Southeast Asia and with strategic exposure to the markets of India and China. So what is the She economy? When we talk about the She economy, it's about women as market makers. So leveraging women as a demographic, whether they're consumers, online traffic, a mobile workforce, distributors, resellers, agents, etc. It's about really leveraging the value of women in the entire investment value chain. Teja Ventures focuses on investing in three main verticals in markets where we believe women are market makers, and that is health and wellness, digital distribution, and financial inclusion. And when you talk about gender lens investing, this is a term which has become a lot more in the mainstream in the last couple of years. Gender lens investing simply means that when you actually invest, gender is a factor in how you evaluate opportunity, how you evaluate return, as well as risk. Some funds, they look at diversity, investing in, let's say, female founders and CEOs. And some funds, you're looking at what kind of overall impact that you're actually creating for women. Some funds basically look at product and services targeted at women. At Teja Ventures, we invest in diverse founders, both male and female founders. However, we look at companies which we believe make a positive ecosystem impact for women or serve women solely or disproportionately. And we see women actually as drivers and beneficiaries of these business models.
So can it be said that you invest in tech companies for women?
I would say that we invest in technology companies which we believe can change the status quo for women, who are creating net positive impact for women, whether it's their business models really leverage women as a mobile workforce, whether they're creating products or services which we know can benefit women, or whether it's solely benefiting women, or we know that the majority of consumers are women. Why we chose the She economy as something, what we feel is a huge opportunity to invest in, is because women are driving not 50% of consumption, maybe 50% of the population, but they're really driving 80% of our global discretionary spending. Women are multiple markets in one. They are purchasing on themselves and on behalf of their households and communities. And especially in the new internet economy, they're often first adopters of new consumption behavior and conduits to new markets. So we see this as an economic opportunity. And so, yes, I would say we are investing for women or investing in the She economy. Our portfolio actually has about 60% female entrepreneurs, 40% male entrepreneurs. And we believe in the long run, it will probably be a 50-50 split. But I think at the end of the day, we're really looking at what is this company actually really doing for women as a whole, women as a demographic? What is the role that women are playing in the entire value chain?
I think that is a great business decision and strategy. And so you've mentioned that you've been working with women entrepreneurs. And can you share a few examples, women entrepreneurs and maybe women who works in technologies that benefits other women?
Absolutely. I've worked with many female entrepreneurs, even way before I actually set up the fund. As you know, I founded Sheilas Tech, which is now the world's largest startup competition for women in technology. And way before I started the fund, I was already working with female entrepreneurs, trying to see if there's any way I could support them. I started to invest as an angel investor. I would try to provide strategic advice, introduce more investors or introduce more resources to them, introduce talent to them through my networks. Like I said, there are many very exciting companies in our portfolio. We just invested into a plant-based food company in Indonesia, which is a female founder. She's incredible. The company is unlike many other plant-based food companies. The products, they taste great. They're focusing on chicken and beef substitutes for the Asian market. And the company has a great ethos. So what I've noticed in terms of the female entrepreneurs that I've worked with is that female entrepreneurs are often very revenue driven, very, very focused on profitability and sustainability. They often care about giving back to the society and social impact. What I've also noticed is that conventional investors have often penalized them for actually being socially focused. And also the traditional rules of venture capital also mean that women are sometimes penalized, or founders are penalized, if they're not just pursuing growth at all costs, high cost, high growth. I think we're seeing trends in the investment world change. And in a post-COVID world, perhaps there will be more focus on revenue-driven businesses focused on profitability and not just growth at all costs. And I actually think this really favors women. And I also think as the world wakes up to a lot of the gaps that have been exposed during COVID-19, there would also be more funding and more investments and more bets taken on companies which actually have social impact and solving these problems that we're facing at the heart of them. And I think this is all in favor of the paths that a lot of women entrepreneurs have taken.
Yes, exactly. Currently, we've all witnessed the power of female leadership, both in the business sector and the governments. So I think that actually leads us to the next question. You mentioned about Sheilas Tech. Can you tell us a little bit more about the project?
Sheilas Tech is a separate organization on its own. It's a separate nonprofit organization. We started doing these events for a startup competition focused on women and technology startups. Back in 2015, it was just one round in one city with a room full of 100 people. In 2020, we are in 30 countries and 6 continents. And this is now the largest startup competition for women in technology in the world. I never expected in my wildest dreams that it would scale to this level. There was an unfulfilled need that we were filling at the time. The whole point about the competition is to provide a platform for female entrepreneurs to really showcase their technology and their businesses. And increasingly, we are attracting top investors to come to watch them pitch and to essentially mentor them, prepare them to pitch to a wider audience, and to give them the exposure, which provides that momentum for an early stage startup. And I think one thing that women entrepreneurs really need is that ecosystem. Now, the ecosystem is actually really key, especially in the early days. Our top 5 startups have raised more than $150 million already. Going forwards, I think the vision of Sheilas Tech as a nonprofit, apart from maybe scaling this to 50 countries next year, is creating a standard for education and for preparation, for female entrepreneurs who really want to take their businesses to the next level. Because I think fundraising remains a key challenge for female entrepreneurs in terms of scaling a business. How do you actually do that? And you can't do that without capital. So what Sheilas Tech will do as a first step beyond the competition is actually the curriculum to really address that issue. Because I think that is a single biggest issue facing women entrepreneurs is the funding bias against them, but the fact that they are also in reality raising less money.
I was curious about the participants of the competition. Are they female entrepreneurs or are they women who work in tech, or maybe a combination of both?
They're all female entrepreneurs, and we love mixed teams. Sometimes male entrepreneurs pitch too, but their company usually has a female focus. So we've had 2 or 3 male CEOs who win the competition because they were creating devices for women's health. One was creating a makeup artist platform, etc. So it's mostly female entrepreneurs. And a female entrepreneur or an entrepreneur can have any background, right? You can be a scientist. You could have been in business or technology before. You could have been a teacher. It doesn't really matter. It's about whether you have the ability to build a great business, whether you're suited to build what you set out to do. Do you have the best team? What is the market opportunity that you're really capitalizing on? And what's the strategic value proposition that you and your team and your company actually provide? So we don't target like a certain profile.
I think it's great that there are more and more business that are geared towards women. The more, the better. And it's great to see that the male entrepreneurs are also focusing on this market as well. Going back to growth for women in their careers, you are also the founder of Lean in China. Can you tell us a little bit more about that project as well?
Lean in China is an organization on its own. It started off as a project, like a weekend project, and turned out to be an organization way beyond anything I could have imagined. This was 2013. I moved to China from London, and a group of women and we started meeting on weekends, and we were a small group of women, and we decided to start building communities for women inspired by the work Lean In. And what was like a 10-person group and then a 100-person community soon became thousands and thousands of women across 30 cities in China. In 2016, I quit my job as a lawyer to actually run what was then a community to build into a real organization full time. And then what has basically happened after that was completely beyond my imagination. We had programs with 150 universities. We trained young women from 150 universities across China in leadership programs. We published women in the workplace data, working with big companies in China. And She Loves Tech was actually an initiative started by us back in 2015. But the thing is that we never expected She Loves Tech to expand and grow in the size that it has. And so now it's spun off into its own organization. But She Loves Tech and Lean in China helped me really to understand women's consumer behavior, community-based behavior, a lot of the hopes and the aspirations and the needs and the challenges that women were facing. That's helped me to become a better investor because I've been able to understand the consumer firsthand for the last 7 years of my life and to understand, where all these trends are sort of moving towards, because you need to go back to the consumer to really understand what the end consumer really wants and how do you really build a business and a business model around that.
That is really helpful. The status of women and the career path of women in China and other Asian countries have changed quite rapidly over the past few years. And career growth for young female professionals in China is a topic that I'm very interested in. Now there are more opportunities presented for young female professionals in China and other countries, but sometimes we're still seeing employers asking female job applicants for their height and weight and about their marital status or whether they have plans to have children. So I think that is something female professionals facing in countries like China and other Asian countries. So my question for you is that what are the specific challenges for young women in those countries if they want to have a career in technology?
China passed laws last year to ban HR managers from actually asking these kinds of questions. I don't think you can fully prevent that in any country. These are external challenges in the environment that we personally don't have any control over. I always think the best defense against a lot of these discriminatory practices is essentially to always be upgrading your skills. Like I said, in the world we live in, especially in the post-COVID world, it's shown us that a lot of the traditional structures that we knew are actually dispensable. And that also means that a lot of our jobs which we have been traditionally held will probably be lost, and also means more unstable. So I always feel like if there's any career advice that I would give anybody is it's never to be complacent. Women in particular have been vulnerable because of COVID-19. A lot of them are more informally employed than men. So again, their jobs have been vulnerable. I would basically say that it's very hard for you to control somebody else's behavior. Only legislators and governments can do that. What I would say is that we need to prepare ourselves better for disruption and not expect things to be comfortable. And the only way you can do that is to ensure that you're constantly learning, constantly evolving, especially for young women, who don't have families yet. And they should constantly trying to upgrade themselves. From a technology angle, and as somebody who has no technology background, I believe everybody can learn. And the question is, how badly do you want to learn? When I first started competition, and probably did not really have the confidence because I was really on my journey. I was learning as well. But if you see some of the most well-known entrepreneurs and most successful entrepreneurs that we know, a lot of them actually started off doing what they were doing because they simply wanted to do it. They weren't necessarily the experts in those fields. Look at Elon Musk, look at Jeff Bezos, look at Richard Branson, look at all these people. They never did what they did until they did it. So on the technology side specifically, though, I think that in technology, there are a couple of jobs which I think are really sought after or really crucial. One is obviously the jobs of people who are actually developers, people actually creating the technology, engineers. And then they're also very, very key in the world of technology is basically product managers, people who actually create technology products. They may not be the coders themselves, but they are the ones who actually create products, whether it's an education product, whether it's a healthcare product, because they understand the needs of consumers and they're always using analytical methods to collect that data and to improve that product. I know that there's a big gap in women actually being developers, and there's not enough women who are actually technically trained. You would say there's a big gap in that field. But I do think that there's opportunities for more women to become product managers. You don't necessarily have to be a developer or coder to actually become a product manager. One thing is a strong interest in technology. I think second of all, it's a way of thinking, a product-driven mindset. It's always focused on the data. It's always focused on the data you collect from consumers and actually how that actually shapes the product that you're actually building. And if I had to go back to school today, what would I try to learn? I would probably try to learn more about product-driven thinking, how to actually build technology products, understanding data and data analytics. Those are the types of courses that I would probably take. is really important, even if you don't end up becoming a product manager itself, even if you don't end up actually building an app or whatever it is, because I think for me, it's actually key to understand the way technology works, the way technology driven company is run, how technology products actually built. And that is actually very, very valuable. And that's what I would encourage young people, young women to actually try to get more experience in, even if they didn't have like a pure technology background. Follow your passion, and these are some of the useful skills that you can have along the way.
Now we know like the next hot area in tech that some young students and professionals can pursue if they want to enter the tech field. And it sounds like if you want to enter some area, you have to have an interest in it. And now today's society is providing more and more opportunities and help for women if they want to enter a technology field. And I think we have people like you helping them achieve that goal and creating such an environment for them. So talking about careers, we all know that you have been a very successful lawyer before moving into the current tech field. So how did a legal career benefit you for what you are doing right now?
To be honest, these days now that I've moved into being an investor, I'm grateful every day for the legal background that I've had. I was a finance lawyer for almost a decade. So I wasn't just a lawyer, but I was actually working on sort of financial transactions, investment, acquisitions, funds, structuring all kinds of investment deals. So that's actually proved very, very valuable now. So I'm really grateful for all those years, even we had to work very, very hard. So I think law has benefited me in terms of structuring 20 investments, understanding risks, negotiating deals, understanding the kinds of issues I should be looking out for at all times across different jurisdictions. I had the benefit of, practicing cross-border my whole career. Actually, I was based out of London and various other places, and so that's been very, very useful. But I would actually say that I never thought about it before, but as a founder, you're faced with all kinds of issues all the time, and law has given me some great foundation or framework in which to analyze some of the bigger issues. Because as a founder, you're always faced with all kinds of issues. The best people, you're raising capital. But I think law helps me to evaluate some of those big issues in an analytical way, even when you look at a deal in an analytical way, and find the right structure or the right solution for it. You're problem solving all the time. And that's in a way, all that training, years and years of that training, of that rigor, of that discipline actually really helps me now. And it also means you can do deals faster than others because you understand a lot of these terms. So I'm very grateful for that, even though I probably complain about having to work so hard in my 20s. Yeah, very grateful for that now. I think the transition from being a lawyer to being a founder, building a nonprofit, building technology competition, to building now a VC fund, I don't think I could have ever imagined the transition. It's not something you consider at the beginning of your career. I don't even think that technology investment, venture capital, being an entrepreneur ever crossed my mind. It was beyond my wildest imagination. But I think that if you believe in something, if something is really worth your time and taking the risk, then that's what carries you the transition. And the transition means also, and something I've had to learn is that as a lawyer, you are used to being the technical expert. Clients expect you to be a technical expert. But what I've had to learn, and I'm still learning, is being a founder doesn't mean you have to do everything yourself. I was so used to doing everything myself and being the most expert person in the room. But being a founder is about bringing the best people together with you to come up with the best solution versus you trying to do everything yourself. And I think that's been challenging a transition because you're moving from being a technical expert to really being a founder and a manager of people, and who you choose is key. It's not just about what you know. And I would say you can't become like a technology expert overnight, but you can work with people who are experts in technology and understand the way they think. You can learn from the best investors. You can work with the best technologists. You can have them on your team. And obviously you can constantly be learning from the market, from the deals, from your network. And I've been incredibly fortunate to have that and have a lot of people open doors for me. I feel like the networking aspect is really key in an industry like this. As a lawyer, you're always doing deals and you're always very active professionally, socially, you're always making connections. And I think that has really helped me as well. Nothing could have prepared me to be a founder, but that discipline helps.
That is great to know. As a law student myself, who has an interest in probably working in the tech field, as we discussed, I think the circumstances and the environment has become more friendly for maybe people like me who hasn't had a tech background to enter a field like this. And as you mentioned, the training of becoming a lawyer and actually work work as a lawyer, you can get all those kind of skills and competences in order to help you succeed to move on to the next field. So all of that is really, really helpful. And I've learned a lot from like our discussion about this. So now I was wondering if you have any questions for me.
I do have some questions for you. So, as a young law student and lawyer to be who wants to enter the technology field, how do you feel you can apply what your training as a lawyer into the technology field? And what about the technology field actually excites you or interests you the most?
My interest in technology and digital media specifically actually started when I was doing a master's degree at NYU, where I focused on digital media policy, specifically the transnational flow of cultural products. So then after the graduate program, I worked for a few years in digital marketing and advertising, where I was able to use what I learned in a very practical setting. So we were working with issues like intellectual property and copyright and contracts. And we've worked with very interesting and exciting companies like Disney. All of those interested me, and that's what inspired me to further pursue legal studies, because I actually wanted to find out how those issues can be resolved from a legal perspective, and that can better equip me to go back and understand issues like intellectual property and copyright, and become a better marketer or a person who work in digital media. And now I've learned all those skills from law school, like communications, writing, and able to understand and resolve, identify an issue very quickly can really help me to understand like a digital project very quickly and deal with it. It is very exciting for me, like the prospect of it, combining my past background with current legal studies. And now like we are seeing like there are so many people who are willing to provide a platform for aspiring professionals like us. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Actually, I think no matter which field you're in, you can be a lawyer, you can be a doctor, you can be a banker, you can be, a scientist. Everybody will need understand the way technology interacts with our lives. Everybody will need to know how technology works, because no matter what you're building, you can't actually run away from technology. So I'm excited to see, your interest, or you should keep pursuing it, and you should please make no mistake. It's not an easy industry to be in. And for me to even enter this industry without real technology background, I just have to work harder than others to understand technology and also to learn from others. Every day I always say it's like an MBA. And I think more importantly is that when there are things that you just won't know. I'm not a coder, right? There's some things I just won't know. So it means that you need to surround yourself with experts and trust their knowledge. Don't expect it, to know everything. But I am excited for you. The another question that I had is that here, you are at the ITU running this Girls and Women in ICT program, which is very, very exciting. Maybe you can tell me more about your interest in empowering women in ICT, and where does it come from? What do you hope to achieve?
I've always interested in how to advance careers of women in all industries actually, and specifically in ICT, because this is a new field that's not previously for women, but now it's more comfortable now for them to enter this field. But at the same time, they need more resources and platforms and opportunities designed specifically for them and addressing the kind of needs that are different from like a traditional type for the tech field. Working in a program such as Talking Tech, we are connecting young students and young professionals who want to enter the tech field with successful leaders and professionals and established teachers and mentors who have done that. I think it is a great learning opportunity and a network opportunity for them, so that they can maybe avoid some mistakes and work together and help each other and advance each other's careers. And also this is combining my previous experience in communications and in project management. So we were actually working from students and female tech leaders from around the world, which is a very exciting aspect of the job that I really, really liked. So really believe in the mission of this project, and we really hope to connect more students with professionals and help advance their careers.
That's amazing, Renee. That's awesome. You should keep doing it. I think the key for us is to make things feel more accessible. I don't want to say, oh, technology is easy. If you have no background, you'll just get it. You have to work hard. You'll have to study. You might have to take courses in it. You might have to speak to a lot of people who have interest in it. But the key is that if you are interested in something, you should go for it. And our job as leaders and as colleagues is actually to try and make things more accessible in terms of tools and resources, but actually to make these things feel more accessible. Because if I had followed everybody's conventional advice, I probably would never have touched this industry in the first place, because I didn't necessarily have the strategic advantage over everybody else to go into it. But it's something I believed in enough. I believe this is the right thing to do, and I believe that we can make a difference. I believe that Teja Ventures can make the difference in investing for the she economy. Therefore, we do it. I believe that Sheilas Tech can make a difference for empowering women-led or women-impact startups. I believe that Lean in China can make a difference in helping Chinese women, achieve their dreams and ambitions. And so we should do it. Even if we didn't have experience of doing it before. So what I want to do is I want to encourage. I hope we can encourage more young women through these programs to not be afraid, to take the leap, even if they don't necessarily have a background in it or a degree in it, and that technology is actually open to all. It's accessible to all, and you should just go for it. The choice is open to you. That's the message that I want to spread.
And that is really inspiring. That is exactly what your organizations and Talking Tech program is trying to achieve. So that is great. And I think we can all work together in order to provide more opportunities for women in tech. I think that is our time. And it has been just wonderful talking to you. And I've learned so much from you. And I think it reaffirmed my aspirations to continue to work in this field. So it has just been wonderful talking to you, Virginia.
You too. Thank you, Renee, for your time.